wife without knowing what was actually expected of you. What is expected of me? Beatrice asked directly. The Viscount was quiet for a long moment. I don't know anymore. I thought I wanted a functional arrangement. A wife who would produce an heir and otherwise leave me alone. But Beatrice, you're a person. You have thoughts and feelings and needs that extend beyond household management. And I've been treating you like furniture. Present and useful but not actually human. Beatrice set down her pen carefully. Are you apologizing? Yes, badly, but yes. Why now? What changed? You did, the Viscount said simply. Or rather, my understanding of you changed. You're not what your father described. You're not some grateful spinster happy for any scrap of attention. You're intelligent and capable and kind. And you deserve a husband who recognizes that. Beatrice felt something crack open in her chest, something that felt dangerously like hope. What are you saying? I'm saying I'd like to start over. Not legally, we're married and that's done, but in terms of how we relate to each other. I'd like to actually know you, Beatrice, to build something real rather than just a functional arrangement. Why? Beatrice asked. What do you gain from that? Perhaps nothing, the Viscount admitted. Perhaps I'll discover we have nothing in common and this remains a cold marriage of convenience. But perhaps I'll discover that the woman I married has value beyond her ability to produce heirs. And perhaps that matters more than I thought it would. Beatrice studied him, looking for deception or manipulation and finding neither. He looked sincere, uncertain even, as if he'd surprised himself with this offer. I don't know if I can do that, Beatrice said honestly. I don't know if I can be vulnerable with someone who married me because I was convenient and undemanding. That's fair, the Viscount said. I'm not asking you to trust me. I'm asking if you're willing to let me try to earn your trust. Beatrice considered the question. She could refuse, maintain the cold distance they'd established, continue living as polite strangers sharing a house. Or she could take a risk, allow the possibility that maybe, just maybe, this marriage could become something more than the transaction it started as. All right, she said quietly, we can try. The Viscount's relief was visible. Thank you. But, Beatrice added firmly, I need you to be honest with me. No more hiding information. No more treating me like a child who can't handle reality. If we're going to try to build something real, I need to actually know what's happening. Agreed, the Viscount said. Complete honesty from this point forward. Then tell me your name, Beatrice said. Your actual first name. I'm your wife and I don't even know what to call you. The Viscount looked taken aback, then faintly ashamed. Marcus, my name is Marcus. Marcus, Beatrice repeated. Thank you, that's a start. Over the following weeks, Marcus made genuine efforts to connect with Beatrice. He began taking breakfast with her instead of eating alone in his study. He asked her opinions on estate matters and actually listened to her answers. He showed her parts of Ashford Hall's history, shared stories about his childhood there, slowly revealed pieces of himself he'd kept hidden. Beatrice responded cautiously. She participated in the conversations Marcus initiated, answered his questions honestly, gradually allowed herself to believe he might genuinely want to know her. But she remained guarded. Trust had to be earned, and Marcus had 3 months of coldness to overcome. 4 months after their wedding, Marcus asked Beatrice to ride with him across the estate. I want to show you something. Beatrice hesitated. I don't ride well. My leg makes it difficult. I know, Marcus said gently, but I thought perhaps in a carriage. There's a place I'd like you to see. Beatrice agreed, and they rode together in comfortable silence through the Yorkshire countryside. Eventually, Marcus directed the driver to stop at the top of a hill overlooking the estate. This is where I come when I need to think, Marcus said, helping Beatrice down from the carriage. When my first wife died, I spent hours here trying to make sense of it. It was the first time he'd voluntarily mentioned his first wife. Beatrice waited, sensing there was more he wanted to say. Her name was Catherine, Marcus continued. We married young when I was 23. It was a love match or as close as arranged marriages get. We were happy for 7 years. Then she became pregnant and everything went wrong. I'm sorry, Beatrice said softly. The doctors said complications from childbirth. She bled too much. The baby, our son, didn't survive either. And Marcus's voice roughened, I blamed myself. I'd gotten her pregnant. My need for an heir had killed her. Beatrice understood suddenly. That's why you waited so long to remarry. Yes, I couldn't face it. Couldn't face the possibility of causing another woman's death just to produce an heir. But family pressure eventually became too great. The estate needs continuity. So I agreed to marry again, but I was determined to keep it purely transactional. No affection, no real connection, just the basic requirements and nothing more. To protect yourself, Beatrice said. And to protect whoever I married, Marcus said. If I didn't care about her, I couldn't destroy her the way I destroyed Catherine. That's not how it works, Beatrice said gently. You can't protect people by refusing to care about them. You just make everyone miserable. I'm beginning to understand that, Marcus admitted. Beatrice, I need you to know something. I don't want to force you into intimacy. I don't want you to feel pressured to produce an heir just because that was the original arrangement. If you never want that aspect of our marriage, I'll accept it. What about your estate, your need for continuity? There are cousins who can inherit, Marcus said. I'd rather die without an heir than cause you the kind of pain Catherine endured. Beatrice felt tears prick her eyes at the sincerity in his voice. Marcus, I'm not Catherine. I'm not fragile or doomed. I'm just me. I know, Marcus said quietly. And that's what I'm trying to learn. To see you as you are, not as a replacement for someone lost or a tool for producing heirs, just Beatrice. The woman I married. The woman I'm beginning to care for quite a lot. Beatrice looked at him, this man who'd married her for practical reasons and was slowly discovering she was a person worth knowing. I'm beginning to care for you too, she admitted. I didn't want to. I was determined to keep my distance, but you make it difficult. Marcus smiled, a genuine smile that transformed his entire face. Good, I'm glad I'm difficult. They stood on the hilltop, overlooking Ashford Hall. Two people who'd started their marriage as strangers fulfilling a transaction and were slowly becoming something more. 5 months after their wedding, Beatrice realized she'd fallen in love with her husband. It hadn't happened dramatically. There was no single moment of revelation. Just a gradual accumulation of small things, Marcus remembering how she took her tea, Marcus asking about books she was reading, Marcus laughing at something she said, Marcus looking at her as if she mattered. She loved him, and she hoped he might love her too. That evening, after dinner, Beatrice did something she'd never done before. She asked Marcus to walk with her in the garden. Of course, he said, looking pleased. They walked in comfortable silence for a while before Beatrice spoke. Marcus, I've been thinking about what you said, about not wanting to force intimacy, about being willing to forego an heir rather than pressure me. Yes, Marcus said carefully. I appreciate that consideration, truly, but I need you to understand something. Beatrice stopped walking and turned to face him. I'm not fragile. I'm not going to break. And I don't want to spend my entire marriage being treated like I'm made of glass. Marcus looked at her intently. What are you saying? I'm saying I want this to be a real marriage. In every sense, I want. She took a breath, gathering courage. I want you, Marcus, not because it's an obligation or because you need an heir, but because I love you. Marcus's expression shifted to something warm and wondering. You love me. Yes, Beatrice said simply. I didn't expect to. I certainly didn't want to at first. But yes, I love you. Marcus pulled her close, holding her gently. I love you too, he said against her hair. I've been falling in love with you for weeks and trying not to frighten you by saying so. You wouldn't have frightened me, Beatrice said. Good, because Beatrice, I need you to know, you're not a replacement for Catherine. You're not a practical solution to a problem. You're the woman I love exactly as you are. Your intelligence, your kindness, your limp, your bookishness, everything, you're perfect. Beatrice laughed through tears. I'm not perfect. You're perfect for me, Marcus corrected. He leaned down and kissed her, not the brief, formal kiss from their wedding, but a real kiss, warm and full of promise. That night, their marriage became complete in every way. Marcus was gentle and patient, making sure Beatrice felt cherished and safe. And Beatrice discovered that intimacy with someone she loved was nothing to fear. It was beautiful and connecting, and exactly what marriage should be. A year after their wedding, Beatrice stood in the nursery at Ashford Hall. holding their infant son while Marcus stood beside her with his arm around her waist. "What should we call him?" Marcus asked softly. "Not after your first son," Beatrice said firmly. "This is a different child. A different life. He deserves his own name." "Thomas then," Marcus suggested, "after your grandfather." "Thomas Marcus," Beatrice agreed. "It's perfect." They looked down at their sleeping son, and Beatrice marveled at how completely her life had changed. A year ago, she'd been told she was unfit for marriage. She'd believed she would spend her life as a spinster aunt, unmarried and unwanted. Instead, she'd been married off in a transaction she didn't understand, to a man who'd chosen her because she was convenient and undemanding. It should have been a disaster. But somehow, impossibly, it had become the greatest blessing of her life. "Do you ever think about how we started?" Marcus asked quietly. "Sometimes," Beatrice admitted. "I think about how your father told you I'd be easy to manage, how you married me because I required no effort." "I was an idiot," Marcus said. "Yes," Beatrice agreed, "but you learned better. Thanks to you, you refused to be what everyone said you were. You proved you had value beyond convenience. You made me see you as a person rather than a solution." Beatrice looked up at her husband. "They told me I was unfit for marriage. For years, I believed them. I thought there was something wrong with me that made me unworthy of love." "There's nothing wrong with you,"